All right, we're going to go on and get started. We'd like to welcome everybody to the annual Meet the Candidates night tonight. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this and putting it on. The way that the sessions will go, we'll have the opening statements, questions and answers, and then the closing statements for each race before we move on to the next one. We will start with the uncontested race candidates first, and then we'll go into the county treasurer candidates, followed by the associate circuit judge candidates, and finally the presiding commissioner candidates. The order candidates will be speaking has been determined here tonight by drawing numbers, and we do have those. Excuse me. We will have all candidates, the candidates will be given visual time warnings for the speaking limits. All limits are strictly enforced, and we will try to follow the outline for this evening's event. Circumstances may happen, and we just kind of work around it as things come up. So, the first up, we will have the uncontested races, and each of those do have 2 minutes for speaking. And we have Carol Nauman for Cooper County Collector. So, welcome.
Thank you. Well, as you know, I'm Carol Nauman, and I've been serving as the Cooper County Collector since 1995. And I'm getting ready to run for my 6th term without opposition, thankfully. And I'm just here tonight to thank all of you for your support and the trust you've shown in me in the past, and to ask for continued support in the upcoming term. So thank you all very much. It's an honor to be the collector.
Thank you very much, Carol. And then we have Doug Obley for prosecuting attorney.
Thank you. Good evening. For several years, the citizens of Cooper County have afforded me the great privilege of serving as their prosecuting attorney. I am grateful for their past support and trust, and I pledge to you that during the next 4 years, I will strive to the best of my ability to earn your continued trust and support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do want to go on and mention a couple of candidates that were not able to be here tonight. Cooper County Clerk Daryl Kemp was not able to make it, and also the Cooper County Circuit Clerk and Recorder of Deeds Nancy Fisher was not able to make, but they are on the ballot. And then up next, we do have the candidates for the Cooper County Treasurer. And with that, we will have Gail Linneman will be starting first, and then Marcia Imhoff will go second. The format for those, we will have each candidate has 3 minutes each for opening comments. And then we'll move into the question and answer segment. We'll have 10 minutes for the media questions from Ed Lang and from Bob Bosma. With each one of those, with each question, we will have a 1-minute response by the first question to be answered. The opponent will then have 1 minute to respond to that. Then we will, in the order we will alternate, so with each question on that. So each of you have a chance to be able to respond to the initial question, and then the other to the response. Then we will follow up with 10 minutes for the public questions, and I do want to encourage all of the folks that are attending. There are some, we do have some clipboards going around, so feel free to write down any questions and bring them up to the podium, and we'll get those included in the public questions segment. And then finally, we will wrap up that session. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their closing comments. So, Gail Linneman, you are up first.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes for opening.
Okay. My name is Gail Linneman, and I am a candidate for Cooper County Treasurer. I was raised in Jefferson City and have been a resident of Cooper County for 30 years. I am a graduate of Jefferson City High School and continued my education at Nichols Career Center with a practical nursing degree, and I have continued my education at Columbia College. My husband Jason and I reside on our farm near Blackwater. with our 2 children, Gavin and Cora. I have put my career on hold while my children have been in elementary school so I can be involved in their younger years. I have held the office manager's position at Emmanuel Lutheran Church for the past 7 years. I have now made the decision to restart my career and would love the opportunity to serve Cooper County as their treasurer. I have extensive background in business. I have owned and operated my own businesses such as Woodman's Bar and Grill and Rome's Pizzeria. I've also managed many other retail businesses, including Royal Optical, JCPenney Optical, The Deb, and Things Remembered. I am a very loyal and dedicated person. These positions have given me the experience in dealing with the public, handling finances, and being a strong leader. I have strong computer skills, and I'm a very organized self-starter. I strive for perfection and would continue to do so for the citizens of Cooper County as their treasurer. With the retirement of Stan Sirk, I feel this is the correct time for me to pursue this position. I would like to continue the dedication, loyalty, and honesty that we have seen for the past 2 decades with Mr. Sirk. It is my opportunity to help Cooper County strive for the balance it needs to account for the funds of our tax dollars. I will strive to make all audits rated excellent and not settle for fair. I will only make changes where the changes will provide more efficiency in the office. I believe it is time for new faces and eyes to be watching and accounting for Cooper County's dollars, and I thank you and hope to have your support as the next Cooper County Treasurer.
Thank you very much, Gail.
Thank you.
And next up is Marcia Imhoff. You have 3 minutes.
Most of you know who I am, but for those who may not, I am Marcia Imhoff, candidate for Cooper County Treasurer. I wish to thank the Chamber for scheduling this event, also KWRT and Boonville Daily News for allowing me to present myself and the qualification to the voters of Cooper County. In my campaign, I've been very busy meeting and visiting with the citizens of Cooper County, telling them of my endeavor of seeking the office of Cooper County Treasurer. In my conversations, I point out my experience and my commitment in regard to the position of County Treasurer. I have 24 years' experience in the courthouse. I am committed to serving full-time in the office of County Treasurer. Currently, I am the voter registration clerk in the county clerk's office. My main responsibility has been to keep the voter records correct for 11,000 registered voters of Cooper County. On the accounting side, I have for years and continue to this time correlated and balanced to the penny with the office of treasurer every expenditure made by the offices of sheriff, prosecuting attorney, circuit clerk, county collector, and county clerk in approximately 30 special funds in order to print an exactly correct and balanced financial statement. For years, I have posted every receipt and every expenditure of the 30 special funds I just mentioned. These receipts and expenditures are of the treasurer's office and are required to be posted into the county's accounting system, which leads me to my commitment of being a full-time treasurer. As treasurer of Cooper County, I will have only one professional career, something that numerous individuals have expressed in their mind as a requirement of the position of county treasurer. Therefore, I will provide uninterrupted full-time service to the office and voters of Cooper County. I will have every fund balanced on a daily basis so as to allow the county commission, along with every office holder of Cooper County, to know their account balances on a daily basis. Thank you. I would appreciate your support and your vote in the August 5th primary.
Thank you very much, Marcia. And once again, I'd like to remind the folks that are here that we do have the questions that panels that are going around, so please fill those out and bring them up to the podium. And after the next session, then we will have the public questions. So thank you. All right, so we will get into the first session with we will have 10 minutes for the media questions. And like I say, we will start with Ms. Linneman. You'll have the first question. You'll have 1 minute to respond, and then Marcia, you will have a minute for counter response there. So,
All right. Hello, Gail.
Hi.
Hi. How would you deal with your office if you were not able to fulfill your duties for some time due to illness or any other problem that could arise?
Well, I believe I would ask the county clerk if there was any help that's available or funds available to have a fill-in while I was out ill. I don't know what the procedures normally have been in the past, but that's, I would seek the advice and find out what's available at that time.
Thank you. And Marcia?
Well, first, I would probably try to talk to the state auditors to see what route I should go and get some advice from them and do the best that I can, maybe on the phone, making phone calls with the offices in the courthouse and trying to keep up to date with everything that's going on.
Okay. Thank you, Marcia.
all right, thank you very much. And the next question will go to Marcia.
Marcia, first, thanks for running for public office.
You're
It's
welcome.
an honorable thing to do.
Thank you.
What strategies do you have for creative deposit of idle funds?
You mean like direct deposit or?
Is it creative or profit-gaining deposits of idle funds?
I would check with the banks and see what kind of interest rate they have. I'd call all the banks that I could get in touch with in the county and go with one that is financially best for the county.
Gail, I want to thank you, too, for running for public office. And
Thank you, Bob.
same question to you. What strategies do you have for creative deposit of idle funds?
Well, I believe there is something already in place, which is every 4 years, you take bids from the banks for depository, and they have to be a secured depository. And so I would continue doing what has been done in the past, and that is taking bids from the local banks here.
All right, thank you very much. Ed, we'll have the first question. We'll go to Gail.
All right. Hello, Gail, again. Is there any procedural ways or other policies you would change in the Department of the Treasurer?
Well, at this point in time, the only thing that I can see that they're presently doing, and I'm not, an expert on this at all, but they have in place what they call a warrant system, and I do understand that that's kind of outdated, and I would change that to just straight checks and balances instead of the warrant system, which goes through the clerk's office.
Okay. Thank you. And Marcia?
Actually, that is probably one of the things that I would do with the payroll system, because I know many other counties in the state are already in the check system, not in the warrant system, and going to the check system would kind of bring the county up to the 21st century.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
All right, and the next question will go to Marcia.
Marcia, historically, the treasurer's office here in Cooper County has not been a full-time position.
That's correct.
How are you planning to approach that?
Well, over time, the treasurer's responsibilities have increased so as to constitute the position a full-time position. Years ago, we didn't have the law enforcement center, and we didn't have 911. That's why I feel with all the extra responsibilities that are in that position now, it warrants a full-time position.
And Gail, you had mentioned that you stayed home from work to take care of your children as they were going through school.
But I always work part-time.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I never.
So how are you prepared then to commit time to the treasurer's office?
I am willing to commit as much time as needed to do the best job I can do. I know everyone knows I'm currently a realtor, and I would like to continue doing my realtor business, which could be done in the evenings or on the weekends. So I would commit, if it was to take full-time responsibility, I would be there full-time. But I don't know that till I walk in that door and I start doing that job. And if that's what it warrants and that's what it takes, then that's what I will do.
All right, thank you. And the next question will go to Gail.
All right, Gail. How do you plan to keep the county's digital records updated in a timely fashion, namely, input of numbers? And what do you plan to do to implement the Missouri State audit requirements?
To keep the digital,
Yeah, kind of the digital inputting of our numbers.
you do that on a daily basis, so you would always be up to date on that.
Okay. Well, according to the audit, we weren't necessarily.
Yeah, our last audit was not a very good audit, and I do understand that Mr. Cirque was ill at that time and was missing quite a bit of work.
Okay. So you plan just to
So-
keep continuing?
I'm a little OCD about that, yes. My work is, I get it done when it's there, so.
Perfect. All right, Marcia.
Well, when the Missouri State Auditor does an audit, they review all the county offices' financial procedures. In the most recent audit, there were findings and recommendations in the offices of County Commission, County Clerk, County Collector, and Treasurer. One of the recommendations included the treasurer being full-time in order that the financial records are up to date on a daily basis. And I will fulfill that Missouri State Auditor recommendation. My commitment is that I will have only one professional career, that being your full-time Cooper County Treasurer.
All right,
Thank you,
for-
Marcia.
And the next question will go to Marcia.
Marcia, how familiar are you with the management of unique, varied grant fund management requirements when you have federal or state grants that you're managing alongside county revenue? You have strategies or experience in managing those unique requirements?
To be honest, I do not, but I would surely research it and make sure I knew as much as I could about it if I was in the position.
And Gail?
I too do not know much about the grants, but I would seek the help from the current treasurer. Obviously, he's had 24 years of experience, and I would definitely go to him and say, what do you recommend?
All right, thank you very much, and that is our 10-minute time limit on that. And do we have any questions from the audience this evening? All right.
Yeah, we do. We have two.
Got two. There was two over
Yeah, right here. 1 and 2. Okay. Okay. All right. This is, I guess, for both of you. This is from the audience. What is your stance on amendment number 1?
My stance is definitely yes, after researching it, and my husband's a farmer. There's no question.
Well, I have to agree. My husband is a farmer too, and it would be a yes for me too. I think we need to keep our farmers.
All right.
For both of you, we'll start with Marcia then. Do you think there's a need for county zoning here in Cooper County?
Well, you know, we've never had zoning laws in the county. And I don't see where we've ever had any problems with that. So I really don't think so.
My opinion? No. Just no. No zoning in our county.
All right. Thank you very much for the questions, and that will move us into closing statements, and each candidate will have 1 minute for each, and we'll go in the reverse order for closing, and Marcia, you have the first opportunity.
Okay. Well, I would really appreciate your vote, and I look forward to being the Cooper County Treasurer, if it so be. And I will do the best job I possibly can and the best in the financial interest of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Gail?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I've been a little nervous about this, and I'm glad I'm at this point. And thank you again, and I hope to have your support, and I will do the best job I know how to do. I will be loyal, dependable, honest, and diligent at my job if you would elect me as treasurer.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you to you both. And up next, we will have the Cooper County Associate Circuit Judge candidates. If you would like to come up in front, please. We have Keith M. Bale and Kim H. Searfoss, both running for Circuit Judge. Associate Circuit Judge, excuse me.
Gmail.
Gmail.com. No,
That's okay.
And we drew the numbers there earlier, and Kim, you will be up first. So you have 3 minutes for your opening comments.
Well, I'm Kim Searfoss. I'm an attorney here in Boonville. I serve the citizens of Cooper County. I'd first like to thank the Chamber for making this possible. You've known me in the community as a veteran. You've known me as probably one of the oldest active participating Boy Scouts. You've known me as the president of my church. You've known me as the president of the school board in Bunston. You've known me as an employer and a small businessman. And now I'm asking you to know me as the candidate for Associate Circuit Judge. I pledge that if elected, I'll uphold the Constitution and the rule of law and apply the facts of any case to that rule of law in a fair and impartial manner. Poor, rich, accused, or victim, you'll have say in my court. You'll have say in the Associate Circuit Court of Cooper County. For that's the only place that citizens in Cooper County have a place to redress their grievances or hear their side of the story. And you'll be able to tell that fully in my court. I also pledge to serve the community tirelessly and with dedication. I'll bring a strong work ethic, and I hope that I can garner your support in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And Keith, you have 3 minutes for opening comments.
It was just about 5 weeks ago that the YMCA had their local Dancing with the Stars, and I'm just thankful tonight that nobody asked me to dance here at the City Hall. I'd be a whole lot more nervous, and it wouldn't be pretty. But I'm Keith Bale. I'm Associate Circuit Judge, and most people know me, but I'll tell a little bit about myself in case you don't. I grew up on a farm about 10 miles south of Boonville, near Speed. My folks, Don and Mary Bale, they still reside on the farm that I grew up on. My sister Karen and I, we went to Boonville Public Schools, and we graduated from Boonville High School. After high school, I attended the University of Missouri at Columbia, and my undergrad degree was in agricultural economics. After college, I worked for a while. I worked for about 5 years for What was then Federal Land Bank became Farm Credit Services and now is known as FCS. And then I worked for Citizens Bank of Polly Grove for a year after that. I saved up a little money at that time, and I went to law school after that. And in 1993, I graduated from the University of Missouri-Columbia with my law degree. I went to Kansas City for about a year and a half. I clerked for an appellate judge on the Missouri Court of Appeals Western District, helped him draft legal opinions. After that, I practiced law, and before being elected judge, for 10 and a half years, I was assistant prosecuting attorney at the Boone County Prosecutor's Office in Columbia. I prosecuted a wide variety of cases. I did jury trials, and had a few appeals in there too. It was just 8 years ago that I was elected associate circuit judge, and during those 8 years, a lot of people asked me, "Do you like your job?" And I always tell them I like my job, but it does have its challenges, and if it didn't have challenges, it wouldn't be interesting. Families today, and especially juveniles, they have their share of problems, and many times those problems show up in court, and that's what I deal with. In my job, I'm the only full-time judge in the county, and deal with a wide variety of cases. I do criminal law, domestic, juvenile, probate, associate civil, and I go to Pettis County. Cook and Pettis are in the same circuit, and we help each other out with cases, and so I go over there once in a while. Over the last 8 years, I've strived to treat everybody fairly and impartially, and treat everybody with dignity and respect. If you come to court, it shouldn't matter whether you're rich or poor, black or white, Republican or Democrat. If you come to court, what should matter is what the facts of any particular case are and the law that applies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. And once again, the tablets are going around that be able to answer or propose any questions. Lucy has got some back there in the back, so we encourage all to provide any public questions. So, and once again, we'll have the 20 minutes for questions and answers, 10 minutes starting out with the media questions, and we will start out with Mr. Searfoss.
Kim, how do you come to sentencing decisions outside of common sentencing parameters? How do you deal with that?
Well, I tell you, a prosecutor, he brings a case. You're talking about a criminal case, I
Yes.
assume. The prosecutor, he brings his set of facts, and they're usually very black and white, because that's what the prosecutor deals with. And then a defense attorney will bring in all the gray and show you a little glimpse of the life of that person. So I think that first off, we're very fortunate. We don't have a lot of real heinous crime. We have a lot of crimes that involve the general rule of the community. And so what you do is you sit there and you listen to both sides, and you temper the sentence based on those facts. And I think there's a guideline that the state sets forth, but it's just a minimum and maximum range. And so I think you have to listen to each case and listen to the facts as presented.
And for you, the same?
Well, every case is different. It depends on what the individual's priors are. If this is the first time he's stolen, or if he's done this a half a dozen times, that makes a big difference. Are there drug and alcohol issues? If that's the issues, do they need to be addressed? Does this person need treatment in some facility? Are there mental health issues? If there's mental health issues, those need to be addressed. So every case is different. Every individual is different, and different crimes vary within the crime how heinous a particular crime is. So.
Thank you very much. And first question will go to Mr. Bale.
All right. Hello, Keith. How are you doing? How would you deal with a moral versus ethical dilemma? I'm sure you probably get those occasionally, don't you?
Well, if it's something within the law or something, I can call the Ethics Commission with the Missouri Bar. If it's something, whether I can take a case or something, reached, there's counsel that can be dealt with at the Missouri bar. But I guess that would question would arise sometimes with conflicts of particular individuals, attorneys, or whatever, or if I would have a conflict with individuals in a case, or that would arise occasionally. But there's other attorneys that have more experience with that. We can call with the Missouri bar that
Okay.
deal with that.
Well, thank you. All right, Kim.
I know there's a lot of lawyer jokes and everyone has their favorite. I actually have a favorite lawyer joke. But we have very strong ethics rules. I mean, very strong. And we have canons not only for an attorney to operate under, but also the judiciary. So the first place we go is we look at those canons, and then we look at informal decisions and formal decisions that may have been handed down by the ethics people and by the Supreme Court. So that's the first place. And of course, we're not on an island, so any other information I might need, there's plenty of resources available for a judge to reach out and receive guidance on those issues.
Thank you very much.
And the next question will go to Kim.
Kim, is the jury system accurately reflecting the community makeup or culture?
Well, we're dealing with a rural community here, all right? And I think that the jury pools that I've seen do reflect the community, all right? I think my opinion would change if I was sitting in St. Louis or Kansas City or Springfield, a larger metropolitan area. But here I think the jury pool represents the average citizen that you'll encounter in Cooper County. And I think that the juries do a good job in reflecting that common sense approach to the law in determining guilt or innocence, or whether damages and the amount of damages that arise in a civil case. So I think our jury system does a good job here.
Keith, your opinion?
I think it was Winston Churchill who said something like, "Our system of justice is the worst, except for all the others." And I think the moral of the story is it's not perfect, but it's about as good as, and it can always be better, but it's probably the best system in the world. And as far as a particular jury goes, how they're picked, that's picked from a random pool and your driver's license, and then the voters' rolls, all those go in to who gets picked to serve, to call in as a jury to be on the pool. And so that's certainly a fair and accurate way, the pool, the way it's selected. So.
All right. And the next question is for Keith again.
All right, Keith. What would you consider as the most important duty of being a judge of Cooper County?
I think just to listen to both sides of the case, and that's about all that you can ask somebody to do is listen to both sides and be fair and impartial. And along with that goes to treat everybody with a certain amount of dignity and respect, regardless of what their status in life is, or where they come from, or whether they're rich or poor. And that's just be able to listen to both sides. That would be the most important.
Thank you. Kim?
I think it's paramount to realize that our system is based on a constitution and amendments to those constitutions, both at the federal level and at the state level. And I think that's the backbone. And people want their cases heard within that framework. That's called the rule of law. So treating people fairly and impartially within that framework, within that rule of law, I think that's the thing most people want out of their judicial system, and I would strive to do that.
Thank you.
And next question for Kim.
Kim, what would your position be on expansion of community service programs?
Well, you're talking about like when someone has community service in a criminal case?
Sentencing, yes.
Because we have a very poor system here in Cooper County. We a lot of times I do a lot of criminal defense right now, And a lot of times if my client needs some type of community service, they have to go to Columbia because we just don't have the not-for-profits here in the community that are willing to allow someone with a conviction to come work for them. So I think that system really has to be bolstered quite a bit in Cooper County. I don't like to see us run into Boone County for things like that. I think if the crime was done here, then I think that the punishment should be centered here also.
As far as community service work goes, we have a list of certain people that'll be providers, be the YMCA, the food bank, different groups. And there's a lot of work to be done here. The hard part is getting somebody to verify and keep track of all those hours for all these particular people. That's the hard part. And then make sure they show up and do what they're supposed to do. As to other community services, something that we always need and need more of is mental health treatment and mental health follow-up. And a lot of times they get the treatment, but come out here and have somebody to follow up with them and stay on them, make sure they stay on their meds. That's something that I see just all the time, that we need more mental health services in the county.
All right, and we have time for one more question.
All right, Keith. What do you think is best for repeat youth offenders? Do you think more programs for them or more time? As far as juvenile detention.
Well, that's, if you frame it, what kind of offense?
What's our most common offense? I guess would be stealing, theft, or drugs.
I guess my question is, are they going to harm somebody? Are they dangerous to the community? You got to take that more seriously because they're going to hurt somebody, and you can't have them run around hurting somebody. If they're going to be stealing out here, stealing for drugs, you got to address that, and you got to get their attention first. And a lot of times you get their attention by locking them up for a little while, and then send them off to treatment someplace. And we seem to be able to find treatment. There are beds available. You sometimes have to wait a little bit, but there are beds available for treatment. Okay. But you got to get their attention first, and you got to get them to realize they have a problem. It doesn't do any good to go to treatment if you don't want to quit. Right. And we see people go to treatment, come out, and then go start back up again. Well, they graduated from the program, but they just didn't want to quit. They just weren't committed to quitting.
Thank you, Keith. Kim?
Well, I think you have to realize that by the time a juvenile gets in to actually sit in front of the judge and listen to their case presented to a judge, they've probably been through informal probation, and they've been through several steps that the juvenile office has already implemented. So if they come back and they're a repeat offender, I think it's time to get their attention, and I think that's when detention, where we actually send them to juvenile prison, if you'd like, I think that's where detention is appropriate. Like I said, a lot of times a juvenile, when I represent a juvenile, I have to explain to them that at some point they're going to be considered an adult. And it might be when they're 14 or 15 or 16. The state of Missouri, we allow people to be certified at a fairly young age. So I think that the punishment has to be somewhat severe to get their attention if they're repeat offenders in the juvenile justice system.
Thank you, Kim.
All right, thank you. Are there any public questions that have been received?
I
don't think so.
No.
Okay. With that, then we will give each candidate 1 minute for closing statements. And with that, we'll go in reverse order again. And Keith, you have the first.
I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this event on and all the work that goes on with it. I know a lot of work goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. Also want to thank KWRT and the Boonville Daily News and Ed and Bob for their time on this. 4 years ago, Mr. Steerfoss and I faced off in the same race, and at that time we faced off in the November election. This time we face off in the August primary. And so if you want to have a say in this election, want to vote in this election, you need to vote August 5th and ask for a Republican ballot. I want to thank the voters for allowing me to serve them the last 8 years. I've enjoyed myself and I've dealt with the challenges, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Tuesday, August 5th in the Republican primary.
Thank you very much.
I'm Kim Searfoss. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking to be your next Associate Circuit Judge. I promise that I will serve you well and diligently and hard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. And lastly, this evening, we will have for the Cooper County Presiding Commissioners, and if you will give us just a minute, we'll get your names put up, but if everybody would come forward, and we'll introduce you.
That's mine.
You're going to be with us just a little while.
I guess I really wasn't thinking when I put the names up there. I should have gone down the list of the way that the numbers were drawn, but, so. Hey, I'd like to introduce, once again, we'll go on and get the opening statements. Each candidate has 3 minutes for their opening comments, and then we'll go into the question and answer, which with the number of folks that we have here, we'll do 20 minutes for the media questions and then 20 minutes for public questions. So, and we will start, the order of the evening will be Millie Rohde will be able to go first, followed by Danny Bright, Michael Kelly, Don Bargary, and Mark Livingston will be last. So, Millie, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Millie Rohde, and I'm running for presiding commissioner. I'm excited and pleased to be here. Chamber, thank you for giving me this opportunity. KWRT and the Daily News, I thank you as well. As I look out over the crowd at your faces, I bet some of you are wondering, what makes her think she can do this job? Well, I've got little time, but I'm going to do the best I can to tell you. To start with, my work experience gives me the knowledge to balance budgets, write grants, and work at federal and state levels. In healthcare, I was considered an expert at contract negotiations. The negotiating of a contract requires the ability to be a good listener and to reach compromise. I feel this office would have the same requirements of me: to be a good listener, to understand issues, to strive for compromise, and to problem solve. Lost my place. In my 38 years of management, I've always stressed teamwork as number one because it is a team that gets things done. I had the pleasure of celebrating success on issues that I lobbied for at the state level. These issues were to benefit common folks just like you and I. I've also had the pleasure of working at the Federal PAC Commission during drug reform. If you elect me as your county commissioner, you will be my boss. And as my boss, you should know that I've always scored high on performance reviews. You know, when I made the decision to pursue this office in our county, I knew there would be huge benefits in meeting as many people as I could. So I started knocking on doors. Maybe there's some of you here tonight that I've knocked on your door. I cannot begin to tell you how gratifying this journey has been for me. To sum it up, I feel honored and blessed to have had this experience and to have met so many wonderful people. I, as a perfect stranger, have been treated graciously and with complete respect, setting aside the little chihuahua that doesn't like unannounced company. Of the 568 miles of gravel roads in our county, I am now at 400 plus and plan on reaching the remainder before election. On a personal note, my husband Morris and I are farmers. We live in Prairie Home. My time up? Again, I want you to know how grateful I am about this opportunity to speak to you tonight. And I will close by telling you I am a very dedicated and hardworking individual. And if change is possible, I can and will make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Millie. And then up next is Danny Bright.
Good evening, folks. I'm Danny Bright Jr. I'm running for the office of Cooper County Commissioner. I was born here in Cooper County at the old St. Joseph's Hospital, and I'm a lifetime resident of Boonville. I have a vested interest in the county and its future. My wife, Renita, and I have been married for 36 years. We have 2 children, Debbie, 29, and Nathan, 25. We lived on Highway 87 for the past 25 years, south I-70. I went to work right out of high school at the university. I worked 30 years at MU in mechanical trades. I have a master's mechanical license with the City of Columbia. I spent 18 years with the Sheriff's Department as reserve deputy, 8 of those years as captain of the reserves. I spent 7 years on the Boonville City Council. I've been on the Boonville Police Board, Boonville Park Board, Boonville Gun and Grounds Board, and the Board for Harlan Cooper County Deputies. I spent 6 years in the Missouri Army National Guard as a mechanic, where I obtained rank of Staff Sergeant. I know and understand how the county government works and operates. I'm pro-law enforcement, fire protection, improved roads and bridges, ambulance and helicopter services, and economic development. I have experience in annual budgeting and inventory, management and employee relations, supervising, interviewing, and hiring employees, knowledge of government and DNR, which Department of Natural Resources regulations, heavy equipment repair and maintenance through 2 heavy equipment mechanic schools in the U.S. Army. Have building maintenance and upkeep and general business. I have the knowledge and ability to spend your tax dollars wisely and efficiently, and the ability to make honest and informed decisions when needed. If you elect me, I will be your full-time commissioner. You will be able to call me or visit me at any time with your concerns or questions. I will spend your tax dollars wisely and run the office of the commissioners in a professional, honest, and dependable manner. I will work hard to do my best job that I can for the county, my constituents, and the employees of Cooper County. So once again, I'm asking for your vote on November the 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny. And then up third is our local dancing star, Michael Kelly.
Thanks a lot. By the way, Keith mentioned about the dance contest. If by chance the Ugly Bug Ball comes onto the sound system, my wife and I promised to come out and dance for the group here. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event, and the members of the press and the audience for participating. I'm not from Missouri. I'm a service member who retired and came here. My father was in the Air Force. I averaged about 2 to 3 years of my life moving from location to location. I didn't have a home. Closest thing to a home is where I went to college, Mississippi State University. I stayed there for 4 years. And then I went into the service, got my graduate degree in University of Southern California. Not having roots has always been a problem for us, especially as our kids approached high school. I told my wife, we were in Africa at the time, I told her, you can go to the United States, you pick the place. I picked every place the government has, picked every place since, so you can pick the place. She said she wanted a small town, close to a college town. She drove through the United States and found Boonville. We moved here, they went to high school here, now they're going to college, and they're here tonight. So we are very happy with our choice. This is where we chose to live. This is where we chose to settle. It's now our home. This opportunity for me is following 2 years serving as a city council member on the Boonville City Council. I enjoyed that time immensely. I believe I can serve this community with my experience in the military, but also my experience locally. My experience in the military was as a project manager and program manager for big budgets, millions, billions, for large organizations and small, anywhere from 4 people to 450 people. I understand those kinds of issues. I understand how to make every dollar count. I believe I can do that. I believe I can be fair-minded and solve problems for this community and help us become prosperous. I don't think the government should be creating jobs, but I think we have to provide the facilities and the infrastructure for jobs and for people to prosper, and I believe I can help you do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. And then up next will be Don Bargary.
Hello, my name is Don Bargary, and I'm running for presiding commissioner of Cooper County. I've lived in Cooper County for over 40 years. My wife Joy and I have been married for 38 of those years, and we've raised both our children, Chance and Whitney, right here in Cooper County, and we're proud to call it our home. I've been self-employed businessman for more than 35 years right here in Cooper County, owning and operating Don Bargary Construction. In the early years of my business, I concentrated mainly on home building and had employed as many as 10 people at a time. Through the 90s and the 2000s, I concentrated my efforts more on excavating, digging basements, installing utilities, building roads, both private and county approved, all over central Missouri. In my years of being self-employed, I've learned a lot of things. I've learned all aspects of running a business. I've learned that knowing your trade and working hard will keep you busy, but learning the ins and outs of business will make you successful. You learn that efficiency for both you and your employees is the key to profitability. You learn that purchasing of both materials and equipment is vital to success. You learn that project budgeting is very, very important, and the daily tracking of those budgets is more important. You learn the ins and outs of finance, insurance, payroll, retirement plans, and all other aspects of running a business. You learn that the decisions you make directly affect your bank account. And you learn that a good line of communication with your customers is the key to the final result being what it's supposed to be. The running of Cooper County government is not a profit-based business per se, but in a way it is, the profit being the services that you can provide to the taxpayers. I do consider it a business. It should be run like a business and for the greater good of Cooper County. I have the business background to do this, and it will be an honor serving as your presiding commissioner. I also would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event and the opportunity to voice my views. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. And finally, last but not least, Mark Livingston.
First, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. I want to thank those that came out tonight and those that are watching it on a video feed. It is community involvement that makes a community great. My name is Mark Livingston, Republican candidate for Cooper County Presiding Commissioner. I believe that my education, my background experience, and my service to community makes me an excellent candidate for the position. I have a degree in business administration with a minor in marketing. I spent almost 18 years in the corporate world in cable TV industry. As general manager, I was accountable for day-to-day operations of 8 states of cable operations, including supervision of over 100 employees. I was responsible for developing and implementing budgets of over $17 million and never failed to stay on budget. After moving to Boonville, my wife Gail and I purchased a Radio Shack franchise, and we opened Gizmos and Electronics, doing business as the local Radio Shack store in Boonville, which I operated for 15 years. I continue to sell and service Dish Network through my business Gizmos. I strongly believe in service to community. When our boys, Matt and Mitch, were active in Boy Scout Troop 67, I was an assistant scoutmaster. Like his dad, Mitch acquired and achieved the rank of Eagle. While operating the Radio Shack, I donated merchandise and offered merchandise at my cost to area schools and events throughout our county. I donated and continue to donate my time and expertise in PA and audio systems and scoreboard issues to local area churches, schools, and organizations. I'm a member of the Nelson Memorial United Methodist Church, a member of the Boonville Lions Club, where I currently serve as First Vice President, a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and past member of the Board of Directors. I have served 8 years on the Boonville City Council. The last 4 years I was elected to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. I have served on numerous boards and committees, including but not limited to the Street and Alley, Board of Public Works, Planning and Zoning, and the Industrial Development. I believe that my education, business and city government background, and community involvement has prepared me to fulfill the duties of the office. I look forward to being able to serve all of you as your next Cooper County Presiding Commissioner. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to each of you. And I believe for simplicity's sake, when we're asking the questions, we're just going to start down the line. We'll start down with Millie, and we'll come down. After the primary question will have 1 minute, and then each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to that then as well. So we'll start with Millie.
All right, Millie. This is kind of a addition to an earlier question that was asked to the treasurers. But what would be your position on global or selective zoning for the county?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that so much.
What would be your position on global or selective zoning to the county? Kind of zoning for different purposes throughout the area.
I don't think it's necessary. Not in the country, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Mark.
Zoning issues become a very hot topic for most communities. Being on the city council and served on Planning and Zoning Commission, there's a lot of things that happen that we look at for the benefit of the entire community. I too don't think that we need strong zoning regulations, but I think there are areas that maybe within a corridor that the county could zone and still be okay with that. I believe in property rights. I think that when you own property, you deserve to enjoy that property and do the things that you desire to do on that property, as long as it doesn't interfere with your next door neighbors.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Don?
I don't think we need county zoning. I think we're in a time where economic development is a huge issue in the county, and I would hesitate to do anything that would control things where people couldn't develop in a small way. So I don't think we need county zoning.
Okay. You, Don? Danny?
No, I don't think we need county zoning. I think it costs us more money in the long run because we have to have our inspectors and everything, and we don't need it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Danny. All right, Mike?
I see the purpose of zoning for many reasons. When a city has zoning requirements, there are safety, security issues that may be involved. There are sanitation issues. There are different reasons that they're created so that everyone gets along and no one is harmed in neighboring areas. Also, they do it for discerning which areas would be residential and which areas would be for commercial use. Yes, I could see there be a need for it depending on how things are developing in the county and protecting people's livelihood or their businesses separated from their living areas, or if it's unsafe or near roads, for example, if there's unsafe conditions that people could be harmed. Yes, I could see a zoning ordinance being created for that purpose.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you very much. And then we'll move down the line. And first question will go to Mark Livingston.
Mark, there are several state and national organizations concerning county management. How willing are you to become actively involved in any of those processes?
I'm available and willing to do that. If I go back to my history in the cable industry, I served on the board of directors for the Kansas Board of Cable Operations. So I'm familiar with larger boards that are right in the community, and I would be willing to serve and participate in those types of boards.
I also would be willing to serve on those boards. I think that any education that you could receive from a board like that might benefit our local area is a plus.
Because I too would serve on boards. I think you need to serve on the boards.
Yes, I agree that one of the most important things about our position is that we don't do it alone. We have a lot of relationships with other government organizations as well as private, and that networking is key to our success. So, yes.
Millie?
Well, I agree. I've served on boards as well, and that networking is just, you can't put a figure on it, because what you can bring back and implement within your county, it's just a great value.
Thank you very much. And the question will be posed to Don Bargery.
All right. Don, how familiar with you with human resource issues, and especially health and retirement benefits?
Well, every year at Christmas, my wife buys me a book about that thing. Now, this started before the internet. And I would study that book in relation to IRS regulations and retirement benefits. And it has been a passion of mine. So I would have to say that I'm fairly familiar with that. Some people watch ball games, and I'm a nerd. But I'm familiar with it.
Thank you.
Repeat that question again.
All right. How familiar with you with human resource issues, especially health and retirement benefits?
I'm not real familiar with them, but I'm not real familiar with them.
Thank you, Danny. All right.
Well, I'm real familiar because I'm living on retirement, and my health is provided by the federal government, being military, ex-military. But I think your question is probably more apropos for local government personnel issues. Well, at the city level, we had to manage the budget for the city. Those came up on occasion. We didn't have to know a lot of details about the options that could be available to them other than the managing the budget at that level, already agreed to pension plans and so forth. As far as other options that could be available than what the county currently provides, I don't know, but I do have some experience in contract management and so forth for the government with different contractors and those kinds of options they've considered for both health and for personal matters. There are a lot of options out there. There are more apparently now than there used to be. So I think you got to take care of your people, but you also have to take into account that a lot of people don't like surprises. So if you're going to have changes, those changes have to be done with long-term view.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. All right. Millie?
Me? I'm extremely familiar with them. And one of the jobs that I've held, I had well over 300 employees. I ended up choosing the retirement plan that we implemented within our organization. Human resources, 30-some years.
Thank you, Millie. All right. Mark?
With respect to the human resources, I used to jokingly say when I had a real job, but back in the cable industry, we had a human resource manager, and our policy was nothing happened to an employee without my stamp of approval. And that was everything from an incentive raise to disciplinary action. So between the two of us, we were very concerned about how people were being treated and that they were treated fairly. The health and retirement is really a separate issue. The county needs to be prepared to help people be prepared for their retirement and a wellness program so that we can avoid costly health care costs.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. And then we'll have the next question that we'll start with Danny Bright.
Danny, how prepared are you to become involved in local emergency planning process and activities?
I plan on being involved, whatever it takes to do it. I plan on being involved with all that.
Yes, I look forward to the opportunity to be involved. I used to do this in the military as a regular routine. We had exercises, sometimes monthly, certainly several times a year, of that nature, more of a threat-based, but also local-based issues as for weather and so forth, so that is definitely appropriate. Yeah, I look forward to it.
Mel?
I would be extremely involved in it. At one time, it was right after 9/11, the organization that I worked for. At the time, I was director of operation, and I organized the committee to set up the plan for emergencies. And so, yes, I would be extremely involved.
And I too would enjoy being involved in the planning stages of it. Most people that know me would describe me as, somebody that's very detail-oriented. I think that the plans need to be developed, the plans need to be reviewed, and the plans need to be changed that fit the situation.
I think the job of presiding commissioner dictates that you're involved. I think if nothing else, you're involved from a financial standpoint. I think everyone up here would agree that you would have to be involved, so, most definitely.
Thank you. And then the starting question will be directed to Michael Kelly.
All right, Mike. Being a presiding commissioner in general, you deal with the public on a daily basis. They will, of course, tell you if something's wrong or maybe something's right. But how would you deal, if I can ask this to the judges, but a moral issue versus an ethical issue? And how would you make that decision of if something affected a few, but then would affect the great? How would you compare a moral and ethical issue that would collide with each other?
Oh, gosh. I need an example where they collide. I mean, to me, morally and ethically are so closely tied, so I don't know where the conflict would be. Do you have an example, or?
Well, morally, if it's going to hurt somebody, but ethically you have to do it.
Oh, well, if it comes down to our job, I think we have the ethical responsibility to our constituents to do what is right, whether we have an individual that may be affected, but all within constraints of the law and all with constraints. I think even people that have these issues that they bring up will understand why you choose the path you choose if you explain it, and it's better for the good of and required as part of your responsibility. So I think they'd understand.
Thank you, Mike. Millie?
Well, that's kind of a tough question. You always want to do what's ethically right. You fall back and ask those that have been there prior to you for recommendations if you're really up against the wall on an issue such as this. I would want someone that has walked that path to lean on and get some ideas as to what do I do in this situation? What do you recommend that I do? Have you ever come across this throughout your career? That's what I would do.
Thank you, Millie. Mark?
And I would agree with Millie. It is a difficult question, but I think first and foremost you have to be ethical about what you're doing, and then you have to allow your conscience to drive the moral side of the decision. And as Mike said, at some point you're going to have to describe and explain your decision on both of those. And if you can communicate those and describe that to the affected individuals, then I think you'll be okay.
Thank you, Mark. Don?
Pretty much agree with everybody. I'd like to add one little part to it. I think first you have to do what's legally right. Second, you have to do what's ethically right. And morality is vague, but you have to just do what is right. Another part of your question is, as you talked about what affects few opposed to what affects many, what we have to remember is that the littlest thing to us could be the biggest thing to the ones that it affects. So we need to keep that in consideration when making all decisions.
Thank you, Donnie. Danny?
Yeah, I agree with everybody else. You gotta look at the whole, I guess, and you gotta make them decisions sometimes. If it's gonna benefit the big or the little, and go with the conscience.
Thank you, Danny.
All right, and we'll start back down with Millie Rhodey as the first question.
An issue that's current here in the county, Jackson Road dust control is provided by the county, and yet in other areas outside of the immediate area of Boonville, gravel roads are homeowners need to pay for any dust control along their property if they want it. What's your position on that issue?
Well, I've campaigned along Jackson Road, so I've had quite an earful. And I will tell you why the folks in Jackson County feel that it's only right that the city or the county funds initiate dust control on their road. This is what the folks out there are telling me. The city uses this road constantly. The traffic is unbelievable. And, the police, the city maintenance people were running up and down it, and they're like, and I made the comment one day, I said, well, having had property on a gravel road in a subdivision, our subdivision went together and everybody brought so much money to the table and we blacktopped it. And oh my word, that was not good. So yes, I'd love to have, my husband and I live on a gravel road, I'd love to have dust control. But my road doesn't get used by the city folks, city police, maintenance trucks, and what have you.
Having a business right at the end of the pavement and then going to gravel, I could see the traffic that travels Jackson Road. And again, we go back to the other questions. You have to make decisions that are based on the good of the entire county, and you have to use the volume of people that are using that road and traveling that road. So that's going to be my explanation to somebody that lives somewhere else and says, well, why do I have to pay for it? Is that the volume of traffic that we see on a road should dictate how the expenses are used to control that dust.
Well, I somewhat agree with what they've said. It is a high-volume traffic road. It is probably the most expensive miles of road to take care of in the county of gravel roads. It's kind of a safety issue on Jackson Road to keep the dust control down because the traffic speed gets high. It gets very dusty. If a kid were to run out in the road playing, you wouldn't be able to see it. So I think you have to take into consideration the amount of traffic, although it is hard to tell somebody that lives at Otterville or Blackwater that you don't have money to put a load of rock on their road when you're spending more money right next to Boonville. I mean, that's a difficult situation, but sometimes you do have to look at the amount of traffic.
Danny?
Yeah, I agree with them. It's a high-level traffic road. You've got to keep it down. And you just got to tell everybody, you live out in the county, further out, and it's close to town, and we just got to keep it up.
I agree with everything that's being said, but I think one of the things that needs to be identified is with the volume usage needs to have some sort of range or whatever applied to it. And if another road fits that criteria, then you're being equitable when you now apply it to that area too. So you need to have something that people can say, well, I'm not quite there yet, that's why I don't get it. They can at least understand what the criteria is. I also think that the county provides the advantage of having a contractor at a very good rate to the county members at that rate, and that's one of the services they offer by having that contract in place. So that's another advantage, not answering your question directly, but it is an advantage to the residents.
And we'll have time for one more question, and we'll start with Mark Livingston.
Okay. All right, Mark. Do you have a big concern for the county at the moment? that need to be addressed?
My biggest concern for the county is the health and welfare of each individual community throughout the county. The better that our individual communities, whether it's a Bunston or Otterville or even a Boonville, better they do, the better the county is going to end up financially. So yes, my concern is how to create employment, how to create revenue, and how to create jobs. And then once you have that, then the other side of it is how do you manage that and use it wisely.
Thank you, Mark. Don?
I think there's concerns all over the county. When you go to a section of the county, there's issues in this section. There's other issues in different sections. I think the general issue is the job situation. We just can't stand idly by and follow the national trend and let jobs leave. We are an agricultural county. Agribusiness is huge in our county, and it remains huge in our county, and we need to maintain our infrastructure so we can grow that agribusiness. Pilot Grove Co-op, Ag Co-op, MFA, businesses like that are thriving. I mean, the ag business has been good. We also need to develop, a plan, maybe a council of the young Josh Snoddy's, Jennifer Wesselman's, Cole Watridge, young people like that are enthusiastic and can help us with ideas and help us to grow our economy and help us get jobs. And I think that's the main issue.
Okay. Thank you, Donnie. Dan?
Well, we need economic development. We need jobs in the county. I don't know how we can get it, but we need it. There's problems in the courthouse that need to be solved. Could you repeat that question again exactly?
What would you consider is your biggest concern for the county?
Is the welfare of the county. Spend the money wisely and take care of the people in the county. It's my biggest concern.
Thank you, Danny. All right, Mike?
Yes, I agree. Economic development is the big concern. Everybody's affected by it. There are many viewpoints on how to improve on that. I believe the county has a role in that with the economic development advisor that the city has hired along with the county to try to look for opportunities for us as a collective. And I believe that those things have to be done, but I also think that there are other, again, through networking, other options that we could look at to try to improve. We have to make sure infrastructure is maintained. It all comes back to economic development, in my view, and education feeds into economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Billy?
Well, I agree with everything that all of the gentlemen have said. If you don't have the jobs, they're not going to spend the money. They don't, it's the root of everything. We've got to figure out some kind of an incentive to bring businesses into our community, our county, and give them the ability to do well. And everything else take care of itself. The money will be out there. People will be building houses. Other businesses will be opening up. It's all about jobs.
Thank you, Billy.
All right. Thank you to the panel. This is your chance as the public for any more questions. We do have a couple of questions here. Did the panel have a question?
These are envelopes.
I don't think those were just some
No.
other. All right. We'll address this question to the next. So, Donnie, I believe this will go to you. Have you, try to read the writing here. Have you contacted any emergency service providers about their recurring problems with 911 EMA, and how would you help to resolve these issues?
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of providers around the county, and there is a huge issue out there of cooperation. I think an idea would be there's a 911 board. I think a good idea would be for a representative for each one of the dispatch entities to have representation on that board. And they could hammer out their differences And, that would ultimately come to the county commission to make decisions. I might as well get the elephant in the room out there. Nobody out there has said Tom White's doing a bad job. They all say we are the most prepared county in Missouri for an emergency. But they all have complaints about cooperation, dispatching issues, and things like that, and it needs to be checked into.
Thank you. Danny?
Yeah, I've talked to people out there too. There's problems in the sheriff's department with EOC down there. And there's problems with the ambulance drivers. There's problems in the helicopter service. We need to address these issues and get that all straightened out. And I think I can handle that job too, straighten that out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard of a few problems in the past, not too many though, so I don't know what all of them are, but I believe that we got the interest and the right people in place. So like Don said, I think it's just a question of fleshing those out in the right organization or right meetings and so forth. I don't know why that wouldn't be being done, so I'm left with this a little information on the problem, why it hasn't been solved.
Millie?
Well, we personally have used the emergency service, and I can't begin to tell you how great I thought they were. I agree with Don. I think that quarreling is amongst them, and they need to sit down and they need to hammer this out and get it taken care of. We shouldn't have to stand over them and impose these rules and regulations on them. When they're the folks that know how to do it best, they need to get it worked out. They need to get in the room, shut the door, work it out before you leave.
And Mark?
And I would say that, the way to handle that situation is to develop an ad hoc committee where you have interested parties, get them to communicate and communicate freely, and then that should come together so that, they can come away with an understanding of how things are going, and then if there are any changes, then like any other organization, then it would come to the county commission to review, and maybe it's a budgetary issue, maybe it's not. But I think that if you assign and develop a committee to review that with participation from all of the different areas, that you can resolve those issues.
All right, thank you very much. And then we'll have one final question, and this will start with Danny. It's pretty straightforward. What do your life experiences bring to the job?
What are my life experiences? Well, I've been successful in my life. I raised my kids. I worked hard. And I think I had the qualities for the job and nailed it.
All right. And Michael?
Yes, I've had to solve problems with personnel, with complex systems, with complex issues, organizations, and multiple levels. I believe that provides me the skills to come into this job and listen, learn, and then execute and make decisions. This is a team of 3 commissioners. It's not one person in charge. They all work together as a team. I've seen them operate. I believe I could be a valuable member of that team. I've done that before, and I could do that again.
Thank you. And Millie?
Well, I think being in healthcare for the years that I have, what I bring to this office is I knew how to budget the money. I knew how to make the budget stay on track. I worked in healthcare, but I didn't see the patients. But I knew how much money I had to spend on a doctor to see the patient. Then I knew how much money I had to spend on a clinic for the doctor to be in to see that patient. I think this is huge. I've always been a team player and worked with department heads throughout the organization. And I think that is something of extreme value to bring to this particular office.
Thank you. Mark?
I think life experiences dictate who we all are. And beginning with my education, my corporate career, my individual business, ownership and operation, and looking through what I've done with the city and in helping with the schools and things out in the county, you know, I think it has prepared me for this job, and I don't know who asked the question, but I thank them for asking the question.
And Don?
I bring it all to the table. My 35 years of business experience totally relates to the job. I've told Eddie Brickner this. I considered running when Eddie ran the first time 20 years ago. I was 37 years old. I thought, Eddie's a smart guy. I'd probably vote for him. There's no use me running. So, you know, I'm glad I didn't. I've grown a lot business-wise in the last 20 years. I haven't told Eddie this. I was going to run whether he retired or not. You know, without going any farther on this, I'm going to do my whole closing statement. So I'll just reserve that for later.
Thank you very much. And getting into, we don't have any other questions from the audience, so we will go into the closing statements, and we'll go in the reverse order that we did the opening statements. So we'll start with Mark Livingston, Don Bargary, Michael Kelly, Danny Bright, and then Millie Rohde.
Thank you. When I've been out and talking to people, one of their concerns is roads. And even though we spend roughly 35% of our entire budget on roads, that's not the only issue that's in front of the county commission. We should be concerned about how we're going to develop the county. And I said earlier that, you know, the better our communities do, the better the county is going to be as a whole. And so when we have the ag business or a new business moving into town or an entrepreneurship that starts, you know, that's going to grow the base for our business. And those are the types of things that I think that are important for this county. We're going to have to work together to make it a good place to be. And with that, you know, I want to thank the Chamber for having Meet the Candidates Night. And I would ask all of you to take the opportunity to vote for me on August the 5th.
Thank you. Don?
Okay, again, I'd like to thank the Chamber for holding tonight's event. I think it's important to know that everyone up here has some sort of qualifications. It's how these experiences relate to the job of presiding commissioner of Cooper County that counts. If you want someone with a background in operating a successful business, with a background in road maintenance and construction, a background in finance, a background in employee management, and a background in fixed revenue project management, I think I can bring a level-headed, common-sense approach to county government. I think I am the candidate for the job. I would greatly appreciate your vote and continued support in the August 5th Republican primary. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Donald. And then we'll go with Michael Kelly.
I especially want to thank the Chamber for this opportunity because about 2 months ago I decided I'm not going to have fundraisers. I'm not going to make road signs. You don't see my sign out there for a reason. It's not that isn't an effective way to get your name out there. It's just I would prefer in this community that you hear me out, and this is an opportunity to do so. So I really appreciate tonight that you had a chance to hear what I had to say. I not only have the experience in the military, I've said several times here tonight, I also have been here in the community restoring three or four homes, old homes, nothing plumbed, nothing level. I've done all my plumbing, electrical. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy building a better community. I believe I have the skills to do this job. I am fair-minded. I consider people's issues, and I will give them and you my best as your county commissioner, presiding commissioner. Please vote on August 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And Danny?
Like I already said, if you'll vote for me and elect me for your commissioner, I'll do it full-time, not part-time. Some folks think that's a part-time job, but it's not. I'll run the office in a professional and honest manner. And like I say, we need industry in Boonville, and I'll work with whoever, Boonville, city, state, whatever it takes to try to get it here, whatever committees it takes. If you elect me, you can come and talk to me with confidence about your needs and concerns at any time. But anything you need out there. I'll drive the roads, and I'll talk to employees often. And I will not take donations. I pay for my own campaign, and I do not want to be indebted to campaign donors and owe anybody any favors. I believe I'm qualified for this job. I work hard for the county, my constituents, and employees of Cooper County. And I think if you elect me, you won't be dissatisfied with me as your commissioner. Thank you. I want to thank this panel and everything for having this tonight.
Thank you, Dan.
God bless.
And Millie Rhodey.
Well, again, I want to thank the Chamber for giving me this opportunity, and our local radio, KWRT, and our newspaper. In closing, I would like to say this. Exercise your right as a citizen and go out and vote. And it would be an honor to work for you. Like my entry in the Heritage Parade said, elect Millie, and she will pull for you in Cooper County. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all 5 of you, and good luck to everybody in the August 5th primaries. That
He gave me all the questions.
I know. I should have.
I should bring him out to the radio station and give us lessons.
Hey, when I'm on the radio station, it's good though. He even says so. Yeah, you're right on that one.
Very nice.
You guys were pretty easy. Well, I thought it'd be a little easier tonight. You know? That's good questions. Good questions. Yeah. We're not a fan.
This is Boonville and Cooper County. We do things differently. This is Boonville, Cooper County. We do things differently.